You tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Cuey. H2.0. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear. Welcome to the Queendom, it's 2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. If you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must. This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought. Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me envy. Unleash the dragon. Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah.
Yeah. They thought we were sleeping. Work out! Work out! Work out! Wake up! 1 weekend, Omar lost a fox in the DHS. She was playing checkers while we're dealing with this mess. Last Pretti in the street, nurse with illegal heat. Holstered in the holster, but they killed them for the feet. Yeah, the surges hitting cities, call it metro, call it war. They're knocking down the Constitution on the bedroom door. Please is split. Massey screaming, what's the price? A new one's on the stand, yeah, she's skating on the ice. They stripped the bill, they removed the clause. No safety for the people, they're breaking all the laws. Pocket in the room, yeah, she's looking at the files. Comers out of time, she's been waiting for the trials. We got boots on the earth, I'm moving through the mist. They want the total surge, we're coming with the fist. Boots on the ground, yeah, the narrative is dead. Trump firing the chiefs while the streets are seeing red. We got boots on the ground, moving through the mist. They want the total surge, we're coming with the fist. Boots on the ground, yeah, the narrative is dead. Trump firing the chiefs while the streets are seeing red. Stay From our FBI senior, yeah, he dropped the bomb. Said bringing home an in is a crisis never calm. It's Mother Levovino, yeah, he's heading for the gate. Ellison is smiling while the judge decides the fate. Not credible, they said, yeah, he lied under the oath, trying to occupy the city. Now we're seeing the growth of the resistance, the persistence. Two-way to the left, unlikely alleys fighting back against the state that sponsors death. Listen close, listen close, listen close, listen close. They removed the ban on deporting the citizens. They're current appearing for the bullets in the prisons. From Minneapolis to DC, the wall is falling down. They can't stop the movement when we're holding down the town. Got boots on the ground, moving through the mist. They want the total surge, we're coming with the fist. Boots on the ground, yeah, the narrative is dead. Trump firing the chiefs while the streets are seeing red. Stay out, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down. The surge is crumbling. We see you. We see it all.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden. I'm back again with another video. I hope everybody is having a great day. It is about 12:17 p.m. here, Eastern Time in the United States and the Carolinas. And the weather is okay, y'all. It's cold, but the sun is shining. Anyway, y'all, we got some themes that we got to get into. Of course, more political updates and some, celebrity stuff we'll talk about as well, child. As you can see, we got to discuss Nicki Minaj again. But I'm going to go ahead and give y'all a brief synopsis of all the things we'll be getting into. And per usual, y'all know I have some videos and some audios to play for y'all when it comes to all of these topics. So first and foremost, y'all, we got to get into a heartbreaking topic. We're talking about the fight for 5-year-old Liam Ramos. This may break your heart. It touched my heart, being that I have a 3-year-old son myself, so I understand. This young man is only 5 years old, and his name is Liam Ramos, and he was taken by ICE on January 20th in Minnesota. He was wearing a bunny hat and a Spider-Man backpack. But we got Representative Jasmine Crockett and Joaquin Castro that just visited him at the Dilley Detention Center in Texas. They say that the poor boy is lethargic and depressed. He wants to be back with his family and sleeping in his father's arms. Crockett described the conditions as worse than a prison. One pair of clothes that the father has to wash and dry overnight. A federal judge has stayed their deportation for now, but Crockett is demanding an immediate release and the impeachment of the DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem. We also will be getting into Representative Omar and the syringe attack, and then Trump's nasty claims. On Tuesday, Representative Omar was attacked at a town hall meeting by a man with a syringe filled with a brown liquid. The suspect supposed name is Anthony, I can't say his last name, Kazmarazak. I don't know how to pronounce that. He supposedly has a history of pro-Trump posts. President Trump told ABC News that Omar probably had herself sprayed and called her a fraud. Well, guess what? Omar fired back, saying Trump lacks compassion and that his rhetoric makes her death threats skyrocket. She's now suggesting it may be time to discuss the 25th Amendment because of the president's behavior. We also want to talk more about Operation Metro Surge and the Consulate incident. Minneapolis is officially calling this a federal invasion. There are 3,000 armed masked agents on the streets. Reports have surfaced of ICE agents attempting to enter the Ecuadorean Consulate in Minneapolis, only to be turned away by employees. Attorney General Keith Ellison is suing the federal government, calling these tactics unconstitutional and a violation of the 10th Amendment. He says the surge is about punishing political enemies, not actual immigration enforcement. We will also be speaking a little bit about the deadly actions in Minneapolis and how the Maine sheriff, the sheriff of Maine, the state of Maine, has spoken out. The violence is real. ICU nurse Alex Pretti was, we know, pow 10 times by federal agents only because he was filming them on his phone. This follows the pow-powing of Renee Good earlier this month. While the administration calls them terrorists, video evidence shows Pretti was unarmed with his hands up. Meanwhile, in Maine, Sheriff Kevin Joyce is making headlines. He called ICE tactics, Bush League, after they arrested one of his own recruits. In retaliation, ICE pulled all 50 detainees out of his jail overnight. The sheriff says the book and the movie don't line up. What the government says they are doing isn't what is happening. And child, finally, we got to talk about Nicki Minaj. You know, the president's number one fan. This was the biggest shocker in entertainment news as of lately. Nicki Minaj appeared at the Trump account summit. She held hands with the president and declared that she is probably his number one fan. She told the crowd that the hate and smear campaigns only motivate her to support him more. Trump praised her as the greatest female rapper and thanked her for investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into Trump accounts, programs to help fans. The barbs are divided, but Nicki says that she is not backing down. Y'all, let's go ahead and get into all of this. So first on the docket, I'm going to go ahead and play this video for y'all of Jasmine Crockett, which I love so much. And she is fighting hard for little Liam Ramos to be released. And so I'm going to play for y'all real quick a speech that she has. Okay, and I want y'all to really hear what she is saying and the strength and the power that she has in her voice and the determination that she has to really get things done. And you do know that she is running. So we need to support her all that we can, y'all, because she's really a great presentation of, I think, what people in the Congress should be doing, which we know that they don't. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. I don't want to say too much. You know, you got to be careful what you say. I'm going to let the video speak for itself. Let's go ahead and get into it, and I'll meet y'all in the chat.
I just want to paint a picture. Imagine being a free-willed, loving kiddo. And all of a sudden, one day, you're thrown on a plane. You're sent 1,500 miles away from home. And you don't understand what's going on. All you know is that your friends are gone. You have one set of pants, one shirt. Your dad washes your pants and your shirt out every single day and then hangs it by a unit to try to dry it overnight. You don't have your mom, who is currently 4 months pregnant with your sibling. And frankly, at this point in time, you've gotten depressed to the extent that you've stopped eating. This is the story of Liam. The sad reality of what we found when we went to Dilley was that Liam was not the only one. You have so many mothers in this facility. They didn't care about themselves. I'm going to be perfectly honest. They were concerned about their children. We heard the same story over and over and over about how they were depressed, about how they weren't eating, about how children were throwing up. We went into a housing facility because I don't know that they were really trying to take us into one, but we went. And there was an area that was almost set up like a kids' play area. And we walked in. And as soon as we walked in, everyone kind of flooded towards us. And at some point in time, it seems like they told us that they were actually educating these kids. And the kids were like, no, we're not in school. We're not getting anything. And so my staffer is like, what's up? Because y'all told us they were getting this. They reopened this facility that had been shuttered under the Biden-Harris administration. They reopened this facility back in April of last year. They continue to house children there, and they are not getting any education. Their education is being thwarted. And then when pressed about it, they said, well, we're working on it. And I said, well, what exactly are you doing? They said, well, we're going to get some packets in here. And I said, what are the packets going to do? Are you going to have teachers? Well, we have somebody that has an educational background. Listen, I did criminal defense work, y'all. I'm here to tell you that the treatment that these people are suffering under right now is worse than those that are accused and sometimes even convicted of crimes. That's how bad it is. So people wonder, like, why is it that people are outraged? Why is it that the people in Minneapolis have taken to the streets? Because they are kidnapping their neighbors. We know that Trump lied. We know that all he does is lie. Because the first thing I wanted to know was how many criminal convictions do y'all have? How bad are these folks? Oh, no. You can't be here and have a record. Y'all, I can't tell you how many innocent, precious children we talk to. We talked to a 16-year-old, and one of my staffers says, man, the level of maturity on that kid. That kid had about 4 younger siblings and his mom. They had been there for 8 months. When we walked in, they gave us a packet, and it said the average detention time was 28 days. We didn't meet anybody who had been there for less than probably 2 months. This is not right. And when I asked the person that is over the attorneys that are there to represent the government, I asked them, I said, what is happening? You've been here long enough. You're a government employee. You've been here through various administrations. And frankly, he said, the difference is somehow they're trying to prosecute these cases while keeping people in custody. That is not what they normally would do. That is what this administration has decided to do. They have decided to play with people mentally. They have decided to tell people things like, well, you're not going to be able to see your kids if you do this, or we're not going to do this if you do that, or we're not going to give you your court dates. This is terrible what is happening. And I really don't know what it's going to take for there to be a wake-up call in this country. But I am here to tell you that we are supposed to be better than this. We talk to people that are saying, you know what? I'm from Cuba, as one woman said. And she was crying profusely saying, and they are sending me to Ecuador. What are we doing? So I'm here standing with my colleague because no, we won't fund this nonsense. We both voted no on that bill. We are asking our colleagues in the Senate to do their part. Stand up for people. Stand up and show them what humanity looks like. We know this administration doesn't care about us, but frankly, when people literally are talking about the water that they are drinking is not safe, if you allow this to continue to happen, then you are complicit. We have to do our part as the legislative branch. We have the power of the purse, not the president. It is time for us to flex our power. So thank you so much for being here.
Wait. If you've taken Uber since 2019, you need to.
All right, y'all. So, that was Jasmine Crockett so elegantly speaking up for what is happening, the truth of what is really happening at these detention centers when children are now being ripped away from their families, from their parents, separated. And they try to sell you this whole idea that, oh, it's okay. We're putting them in these areas where they'll be schooled and they'll be fed and they'll be cleaned and they'll be clothed and we'll take care of them. They'll be just fine. Don't worry. It's just for a short period of time. It's a long period of time for these young children to be away from their parents. We're talking about 5 years old. I have a 3-year-old. I cannot imagine my 3-year-old being away from me or his family for a month's time. And all of that is all due to retaliation or some type of abuse towards the parent or someone you say that is an immigrant, that has not done their paperwork properly, that is not in this country legally. And a lot of the times we're finding out now that that's not the case. This is happening even to sometimes citizens that are citizens of this country. Everything is just fine. Papers and pleas. They're allowed to be here. They're supposed to be here. They've done nothing wrong. They go to work every day. They pay their taxes. They contribute. And their children are being separated and ripped away from them. Now, you have to think about this when children are experiencing these things, especially at such young ages. It can sometimes leave marks. It's traumatizing. We don't know. We pray that these children will come out on the other side of this and be just fine. But the reality is sometimes going through these type of traumatic experiences at such a young age can lead to things down the line. As far as maybe, behavioral issues, mental issues, PTSD. And so this is what is purposely being done from a hateful place. And we are not always, majorly, not getting the true information as how things are going down and what exactly is happening. So I want to salute Jasmine Crockett and, anybody really who is going out there putting boots on the ground to visit these places, take inspections of what's going on, come back and bring that information to the people so we can have the truth and understand how disgusting it is, how nasty what's happening is. And if we have any, thoughts and feelings about it, we can talk about it. I think the conversation boards need to be open for us to have conversations about this. But I would assume people, anybody who does have children, whether your children are grown now or they're little bitty tots, the same age as Liam, we have to sometimes put ourselves in someone else's shoes so we can understand and see and feel a little bit more about what that experience may be like. Not just for the child, but for the parents. The fear, the sadness, the depression. They say the little boy now is so depressed he won't even eat. One outfit that has to keep getting washed over and over again for now, 1 month's time or so. And the night before all of this happened, he was laying comfortably in his home and in his bed with his family and his parents, not thinking that he would wake up the next day and have to undergo a traumatic experience like this. And this is the reality of what is happening. And yes, it is happening now. We notice it is happening now in the United States. But I do know that these type of things have happened in other countries for a very long period of time. And a lot of those reports went untold. And a lot of those stories were never known. And a lot of people didn't care. This is why I like independent media. This is why I like social media. It can be used for bad, but it also can be used for good, where we can share these messages worldwide and really present these truths of how people are living and the experiences that they're having all over the globe. None of this is ever right. No matter where it happens or who it happens to, it's never okay. And you know what? I hope that what we can take from this, especially as, Americans, United States citizen, whatever you want to call it. I don't like those labels and stuff, but it is what it is. Maybe now we can walk around in this world and have more empathy and patience to care what somebody else is going through. Because as long as it's all cool in the game for us and we don't have these type of issues or problems, we're not worried about the experiences of other people in other countries. Maybe now we get it. Anyway, enough with this soliloquy. It's the deliberate cruelty I don't get. Exactly, Imani. It's deliberate. It is deliberate. It's the nasty work, the evil work, the demonic work, in my personal opinion. I just don't understand how somebody will go out of their way to treat and hurt people this way. What? Because you don't get your way. People are not cooperating with you or doing with what you feel as though they need to do because you told them to? Or is it just the pure hate in your heart that you just may have? Because anything at this point in age, anything when it comes to hate. We don't know why people hate. Cat Williams said, we don't know why liars lie. They just do, Anyway, y'all, let's move right along. So now we're going to get into the next video I want to show you guys. This is Representative Omar, and she's responding to Trump's claims about her attack. Remember, Trump said she probably staged this. She has some things to say about this. This is from reports on CNN. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let me bring this up on the screen, y'all. Just the nasty work that we continuously see day after day after day. But don't worry, there is hope. We are fighters. We are strong. We are prayers. We are spiritual. We are defiant. I know I am. And so I know some of this stuff can be gloomy. I know some of it can be a bit much for people to handle and hear. We do need to know what's going on, but we don't have to feel as though we're losing hope and we're losing the fight, because we're not. There's a lot of people out here speaking up, raising and lifting their voices, boots on the ground, doing what they can in their positions to bring change to this. And we're going to be all right. We always going to be all right. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this video, y'all. And I'll meet y'all in the comment section per usual.
Last night where this moment happened to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She was speaking when a man charged her at the lectern, and forensic examiners have now determined with high probability, they say, that what was in that syringe that the man was holding was apple cider vinegar. The 55-year-old man has been charged with assault in the 3rd degree, and I should note Capitol Police are also looking into pursuing potential federal charges against him tonight, which could include assaulting a member of Congress and impeding her from doing her official duties. The president, who last night in the hours before this attack had been criticizing the Congresswoman, was asked about it in an interview with ABC News, where he told them that he doesn't think about her and called her a fraud. As he said, quote, "She probably had herself sprayed, knowing her." And Congresswoman Ilhan Omar joins me now. And I want to get to what the president said in a moment. But just first off, watching this last night, when this man charged you, you initially went after him and raised your fist in that moment. That was your first reaction. What would have happened, do you think, if you had gotten to him before your security tackled him?
Well, I'm fortunate I didn't get to him, because I'd probably be catching charges as well.
I mean, just that moment, that instinct. And I should note, we are so grateful that you're okay. Obviously, we checked in with you and your team last night. I know you were dealing with the aftermath of this. You continued your town hall. They wanted you to go get checked out. You said no, you wanted to finish speaking first. Why was that important for you?
Well, you know, I realized a long time ago that whether it is the president's dangerous rhetoric, whether it is the death threats that I get, whether it is the right-wing vitriol, or this man attacking me last night, their ultimate goal is to stop me from being a public servant, from serving my constituents with the dignity and the honor that they deserve. And last night, I was carrying out a promise I made to my constituents that I would hold a town hall every single month and be able to give them feedback on what I've been doing in Washington, D.C., and be able to answer their questions. And so it was really important for me in that moment to not allow this person intimidate me into running out of that room and canceling that town hall. My constituents deserve to have their congresswoman continue to do the work that they elected her to do. And that is my promise, and I will continue to do that.
I mean, and you are someone, you and I have spoken about this before, you have faced a lot of threats. I mean, what was going through your mind in that moment? It must have been scary as well.
Well, I initially thought that the person spit on me. I saw, you know, some liquids that landed on the podium and on some of the papers that I was reading my report from. And so, you know, it was a human reaction to want to do something to someone that is trying to degrade you in that kind of way, because I've never been able to back down to cowards who act in ways that are disgusting in society.
Yeah, and it was disgusting and cowardly, obviously. And he is now facing charges, potentially federal charges from Capitol Police. And
they're supposed to take him into federal custody tomorrow. So charges should be coming at some point tomorrow, is my understanding.
Was he known to your team before this? Had he been on any kind of radar of y'all's or anything?
No, I don't think any of us have had a personal interaction with him. He wasn't flagged in the system when we'd asked our team to look to see. I don't think, it is not my belief, although we continue to dig into it, that he's attended a previous town hall of mine either.
Okay. And as obviously we've seen his past political post and what he himself has said, I mentioned the president's response where he told ABC News just a few hours after this happened, she probably had herself sprayed, knowing her. Before you respond, I do want to remind everyone that when President Trump was nearly assassinated, you responded and said, we condemn acts of violence and pray for the victims, may calmness and decency prevail. And you said it was sad to hear the tragedy that had occurred. What went through your mind when you heard the president's response last night?
Well, the difference between the president and I is that I was raised to be a decent human being, and my faith teaches me to have compassion. And he lacks both of those things. This is a president who presides over an administration that when they assassinated Renee Good, told us that she was a domestic terrorist that was trying to kill the federal agents. When they assassinated Alex Pretti, they told us that he was a domestic terrorist who burnished a weapon. None of those things are true. They are known to be liars. They have constantly told us not to believe in our eyes. Fortunately, both of those assassinations were caught on camera. And so was what happened to me last night, caught on camera.
So when he claims it's staged, you say?
Well, I mean, this is also somebody who was talking about me in his town hall in Iowa, and then seems to exhibit some sort of dementia when he says he doesn't think about me. Maybe it is time for the 25th Amendment to be invoked, because he certainly cannot remember what he said and has done an hour ago.
He was just posting about you truly 5 minutes ago before we came on air. I was looking at Truth Social and he had posted about you. And it reminded me of what he said when he announced that he was sending Tom Homan into Minneapolis. In that same post, he said, the Justice Department and Congress are looking at Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who left Somalia with nothing and is now reportedly worth more than $44 million. Time will tell all. Were you aware there is a DOJ investigation here? The New York Times says it started in part under the Biden Justice Department into your financial disclosure forms, or into your finances and campaign spending. But were you aware that this Justice Department is looking into you?
No, but I'm not surprised. Over the years, there have been investigations with the FEC because people have filed complaints. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened in this case. And clearly, that investigation hasn't moved on because they don't have evidence of wrongdoing. To say that the community that I ethnically belong to, there's always this sort of sad reference to the fact that I'm a refugee. It seems like these people seem to have a problem with the fact that I am living the American dream. Yes, I was once a refugee. Yes, I did survive war. Yes, I did come to the United States when I was 12 years old, not speaking English, but I did make it to the United States of Congress, representing our country, helping write the laws of this country and helping appropriate the resources that are utilized by all Americans. So yes, that is the American dream. They do not believe that the American dream is possible. And I think the fact that I'm a visible representation of that American dream pisses them off.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, thank you for joining us tonight. And we are so glad that you're safe after what happened last night. So really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all. So as we could see in that report and that conversation, we found out, if you did not know, exactly what happened, during this town hall meeting. And I have to watch my words and what I say, um, because that's another one of the amendments, and that is being taken away from us, the freedom of speech amendment. Um, but I would just like to ask everybody, if you're watching, if you're seeing what's going on, what do you deduce? Like, what do you take from this? Why do you think, she's being targeted? Why do you think that man came in there to attack her? Why do you think that any of these things are happening? Like, are we putting the puzzle pieces together? Are we seeing enough of the display of hate that there is in this country that I believe has lied dormant for a very long time, that has been reignited by the administration, the leadership of Trump? That's how I feel, but I don't want to get too, into it like that, because I guess that can be offensive to some people, if you speak that way or you bring these things up. And again, this is all just my personal thoughts and feelings. I can't say it's factual, but I look at how I see a lot of these things play out. I look at what I hear. I look at what I see. I pay attention to how things are moving and shaking, and have been moving and shaking for a very long period of time now. And what are we supposed to take from it? What do we think? There's people, I understand, that stand on one side or the other. I want to ask the people who stand on whichever side, that feel as though these things are warranted, that these things are okay, that this is what's supposed to happen. I want to ask these people and have conversation with them for real, because I'm very curious, like, what makes you think that way? It's got to be a deeper reason, a deeper rooted understanding that you have that maybe other people don't have, as to which you can turn the blind eye and say that nothing is wrong. None of these things are wrong. This is okay. This is how a country is supposed to be ran. This is how people are supposed to be treated. I'm confused. I'm really confused. And I just want to know why some people still think that this is okay. But we're going to take a quick song break, y'all. And after this song break, we're going to get into our next topic of the live. And we'll be hearing from Ben, of course, Ben Masalis. And he'll be talking about how Trump ICE invades Consulate. So they're moving on up, I guess, and going into even more places. And they're calling these invasions because these people are just kicking down the door, running in, and doing whatever it is they see fit to do. And so we're going to go ahead and get into that video next, y'all. Let's take this quick song break. I'm going to get me some water because my throat getting dry. And I will be right back.
vision. The mission of the television, spitting division, a mental prison. Got the youth chasing likes, addicted to the feed, ignoring the hunger, the fundamental need. They building paper idols on a digital stage, putting our future daughters in a virtual cage. Now we gotta break the cycle, gotta cut the cord. The real word is powerful, mighty even the sword. So we teach them about their history, teach them about their grace, teach them about the power, every single face.
We are human, blood and bone and soul. With the right to be made, the right to be whole. This is our story, this is our sacred song. In the eyes of the Creator is where we all belong. We're human, worth more than they can price. Beyond the hateful whispers and the loaded times. A world where every voice is heard and valued. And truth is not a whisper, but a mighty thundering word.
A word of justice, a word of peace, a promise that the fight will never cease. This ain't just a track, it's a call to action. For every mother, father, every single fraction of the community holding it down on the ground. Time to get loud, make a revolutionary sound. Look your child in the eye, tell them that they matter. Tell them their spirit's something to know like a shadow. Tell them knowledge is the weapon, love is the shield, and the truth is the harvest. We're gonna grow in this field. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, we are.
we got you back.
Come near and far. Let them know the sacred words for every single soul on this earth.
Quiet.
Human, right to live. Human, a gift to give.
All hell is breaking loose as Donald Trump's ICE Gestapo attempted to invade the Ecuadorean consulate in Minneapolis. This is a massive violation of international law. It violates the Vienna Convention of Consular Relations, 1963, which clearly states that you cannot just go in and invade or break into or try to access a consulate inside your country unless you've been given permission, unless you've been given the right of entry, which these Trump regime ICE Gestapo did not have. Instead, these Trump ICE Gestapo were out in Minneapolis hunting for Ecuadorians to try to kidnap and send to concentration camps. These Ecuadorians or these individuals who were hiding from ICE were inside the Ecuador consulate when there was this effort to barge in. Fortunately, the people who were at that consulate stopped from doing it. They said, get out of here, while ICE tried to break in. And fortunately, ICE left. I'm going to show you the video of it in a moment. Now, this is a massive international crisis. Ecuador has lodged a formal notice of protest against the United States. The U.S. is once again being condemned by the international community for violating clear-cut international law. And even though Greg Bovino has purportedly been removed as the head of Border Patrol, and now Tom Homan has been moved into Minneapolis and Minnesota, the Trump regime is still engaged in these crimes against humanity, these violations of international law, this terroristic conduct. Let me show you what happened as Trump's ICE Gestapo attempted to invade the Ecuadorian consulate. Let's watch this video right here.
This is the consulate. Relax. Okay, relax. I didn't listen. If you touch me, I will grab you. If you touch me, I will grab you. Okay. Okay, come on. You can all right, so go. You can know that thing. This is the consulate. This is the foreign government consulate. You can know that thing. I'm going to close the door, right? Yes, right here, right? Yeah.
Sí, le está firmando.
No, pero ya tenía el poder. ¿Qué quisieron perseguir a las personas acá? Ahí, por eso Me tocó hablar con mi This is the girl from Ecuador. Relax, relax. Okay, relax. I did answer. If you touch me, I will grab.
Now, more crimes against humanity have been documented as well. I want to share this with you. This is leaked video footage from inside an ICE detention center in Baltimore, Maryland. It shows 50 people crammed into a cell with no.
All right, y'all. So for this part of the video, y'all see I have my trigger warning up here, but I just wanted to come up and say it verbally that this is an extreme trigger warning. This next part that we're about to watch here. So I just wanted to give y'all that disclaimer. Let's get back to the video. It's very heartbreaking.
Beds or bathrooms. We know that the conditions at these detention centers, these concentration camps, are absolutely horrible. I'll show you in a little bit what's been going on at the Dilley Detention Center or concentration camp in Texas, where attorneys who were trying to meet with their clients who have been locked up at that detention center have been prevented from accessing it. Lawmakers, Democratic senators, and House members have been prevented from accessing the Dilley Detention Center. And you could quite literally hear the screams and the crying for help of the people inside the detention center. And when a drone flew above it, these people are dressed like they're in the Squid Games. The migrants are, it is so ghoulish looking. Let me show you what it looked like inside this Baltimore, Maryland detention center at 31 Hopkins Plaza. Let me show you this. Let's play this clip.
Miren cómo nos tienen aquí. Miren qué migración que nos tienen. Y gente que estamos legales, gente que no estamos legales, gente que está perdiendo su familia, nos están secuestrando, nos tienen en un depósito aquí en Baltimore, nos tienen en la 31 Hopkins. Baltimore.
Están golpeados, está en la cara.
Los golpearon a un señor.
Están golpeados, no han dado nada.
Ya no aguantamos, nos tienen aquí con más de 10 días sin bañarnos y aguantando hambre.
Now, here you'll see children and women chanting, "Let us out," at the Dilley concentration camp or detention center that has been set up in Texas. I mean, this looks like a scene right out of 1930s Germany. Here, play this clip right here. I'll give you another angle of that detention center. A lawyer went up to visit one of his clients at this detention center. He was not allowed in. You can hear the screams from behind the walls at the detention center. Look at this video.
I'm outside. I'm outside.
Well, folks, we're getting a statement right now from Ecuador about the attempted invasion by Donald Trump's ICE Gestapo. So this comes from Ecuador. They said yesterday morning, though, the consul of Ecuador in Minneapolis reported that at about 11 a.m., an agent of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement attempted to enter the facilities of the consulate. Immediately, the consulate officials prevented the entry of the ICE officer to the consular headquarters, thus ensuring the protection of the Ecuadorians who were in that moment at the consular headquarters and activating the protocols of emergency issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Human Mobility. Therefore, the Chancellor of the Republic presented immediately a note of protest to the Embassy of the United States in Ecuador so that acts of this nature do not be repeated in any of the consular offices of Ecuador in the United States. I mean, just think of this reprehensible conduct being committed by the United States. We've got footage now from Status Quo, our partners on the ground in Minneapolis. A reminder, subscribe to the Status Quo YouTube page, subscribe to their Substack, and also double check and make sure you're subscribed to the Midas Touch YouTube page as well. You'll see here, this was from a few days ago, but we're just getting this footage now. It's been loaded. You'll see journalists who are out there filming what looks to be like a war zone. I mean, this looks like it's Fallujah or something. And you'll see these Border Patrol Gestapo with their weapons shooting at the journalists, what are called less lethal munition rounds at point blank range, which could kill people, which has caused people to go blind before. Watch what the status coup reporters were able to document. It is so critical that we share this with you. Here, play this clip.
We've all been there. You go to the doctor, get your blood drawn, and a week later you hear everything looks fine. Maybe they tell you to drink more water or exercise more, but that's it. No.
Three days ago, on January 25th, you'll see these Border Patrol Gestapo attacking the status coup reporter, Tina Berg. They push her to the ground. They then throw gaseous toxic substances at her, causing her to choke. It's quite horrific to watch what just went down. But status coup, they're courageous. Tina's so courageous. They've documented this so we could be able to see what went down in this moment. Here, play this clip.
Tito! Oh, I got it. Come on, get up. I'm done.
What the fuck is wrong with you,
Just go. We go. Go. Get out. No. I got you. Come here. What? Yeah, go this way. This way. Okay, go. Come on. Go.
I can't breathe.
I got you. Go on. Come here. Come on. Let's get out of here. Come here, we have to keep going. Come on, we have to keep going. I know. Come here, we're almost safe. Come on. You gotta get over here.
You guys call 911 when these people started destroying this hotel?
We're pressed. We just document.
So you don't have phones that you
we just document. That's it. That's all we do.
Literally, that's nice of you. So walk around the block and go get your phone. Thank you.
All right.
Way to be outstanding people.
Yep.
Yeah, destroying this city.
It's worth noting as well, as I show you clips like that there has now been a group that's been formed called the Fight Against Federal Overreach, which is a national coalition of locally elected top prosecutors. And they've announced that they will be coordinating with each other about how to push back against the ICE and Border Patrol Gestapo surge, how they address the warrantless entries, unlawful detentions, coercive enforcement tactics, and other constitutional violations, and specifically also plan how they will be prosecuting ICE and Border Patrol Gestapo within the statute of limitations after the Trump regime is over, keeping records, keeping logs of all of these ICE and Border Patrol terrorists. I wanted to bring that up as well. Speaking of ICE and Border Patrol terrorists, I want to share this with you as well. As there were peaceful protests outside of a hotel where the ICE and Border Patrol were staying. Peaceful protests, were the protesters loud? Sure. But you'll see these ICE agents going to the window, giving the middle finger to the protesters and exposing themselves to the protesters. Now, we're going to censor out the exposing part, but I want you to watch as this gang, as this group of thugs, ICE and Border Patrol thugs, give the middle finger to the protesters. I want you to think about the just despicable psyche of these people. Here, play this clip. And then I also want to show you this video, which has gone viral. You may have seen it elsewhere. It's an ICE agent telling a legal observer that if he raises his voice, that ICE will erase your voice. Horrible. Here, play this clip.
I will tell you this, brother.
What?
You know, I will tell you this. You raise your voice, I raise your voice.
If I raise my voice, you'll erase my...
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious? You
Yeah.
said if I raise my voice, you'll erase my voice?
And finally, to me, this clip really resonated, and I know it will resonate with you. Here's a Minneapolis ICE protester dressed as a walrus, and he says, I was just a nerdy gamer guy. I wasn't political at all. But what transpired here in Minneapolis has made me political, has made me want to do something, has made me want to get involved. He goes, I want to go back and be a nerdy gamer again, but I had to come out here and help my community. Watch this.
I've been working, trying to fight this. I was just a nerdy gamer guy that would like to go back to just playing video games with friends, but until we get the ICE out of Minnesota and hopefully abolished, I'm going to continue fighting because this is ridiculous. And I never thought I'd be a political activist. That's, my parents were well off. And so we didn't have to worry about it being white. You don't have to worry about it being a male. You don't have to worry about it being straight. We didn't have to worry about it. But it's gotten to a point where empathy needs to win over those people on the fence where it's not affecting them now. And we need to do something all together. And I think that's what's so big about this moment right now in Minnesota is we're showing up. Everybody is showing up. No matter where we're from.
Right. So we spoke with Congressman Ro Khanna yesterday. One of the things that he told us is that he is going to introduce a bill to defund ICE. What are your thoughts on that?
Needs to happen faster, but I appreciate the step forward. It feels like our government is way too slow right now, hence why we're out in the streets yelling for change. And the faster we can shut ICE down with the legal processes, I think the faster we can rebuild. And I'm hoping for that track for our government here, because right now we're veering off the rails. Trump's ignoring all the legal court orders. His department, everything he's doing is showing he does not care about the rules. And we need some of our politicians to start fighting back, taking their gloves off as well. Stop worrying about who's going to vote for them. Stop worrying about their constituents, trying to get those moderate voters. We need to see action and passion from our leaders.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.
All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead now and get into our next topic for the live. Another video yet that I have to show you guys. So this one, this is coming from, Roland Martin's platform or whatnot. He's reporting on this. The mass protest after ICE deadly actions in Minneapolis. It has erupted a lot of things, and people are taking notice to this statewide and worldwide. And so in this video, a sheriff from Maine, the state of Maine, has now spoken out, and he will be speaking about some of his recruits have actually been detained at the hands of ICE. And so this is getting way out of control, y'all, but let me go ahead and get this video put up for you guys so you can see this. This is spreading everywhere, how these ICE agents are moving and operating, and it's affecting so many people in so many serious ways. But let's go ahead and get into this report, y'all, and then we'll talk about it after.
Folks, it was a massive day of protest today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where thousands gathered outside the U.S. Bank Stadium amid sub-zero temperatures for a march against Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Demonstrators shouted ICE out, waved American flags, and carried signs calling for ICE to leave their city and for the arrest of the ICE officer who fatally shot Renee Nicole Good on January 7th. The Trump administration has sent more than 3,000 federal immigration personnel to Minneapolis since December in what the administration has dubbed Operation Metro Surge, resulting in nonstop confrontations and clashes with residents. According to the Department of Homeland Security, over the past 6 weeks, officers have apprehended more than 3,000 undocumented immigrants. But how many of them actually are criminals? Now Trump and his minions are threatening America's Fourth Amendment rights by allowing ICE officers to forcefully enter homes using only administrative warrants, bypassing judicial approval. Legal experts warn that this policy would strip away critical safeguards and accountability, opening the door to government overreach. But the courts aren't going along quietly. In Minnesota, federal judges are rejecting arrest warrants for a number of people. Arrest warrants tied to anti-ICE protests, saying prosecutors failed to provide sufficient evidence. And now the concern is coming from inside law enforcement as well. A county sheriff in Maine is blasting ICE's actions, calling them Bush League policing, after agents literally detain a Cumberland County jail corrections recruit who was legally authorized to work and had no criminal record. Watch this.
I'm a correctional officer. What's wrong? I don't have to fight her. I'm a correctional officer. Come on. I'm a correctional officer at work in Cumberland County. What's wrong? I'm just coming from war. What's wrong? I don't understand this. I don't have anybody right. Coming from war. My uniform is right there. No, I need to speak to you, man. There's a commission over there. My uniform is right there. What's wrong? I'm worried. You got to look at right. I had an issue. I wouldn't be working for the government. What's the issue? What's wrong? I don't have. I don't know what to say. I'm responsible. I'm sorry. I'm responsible. I'm just trying to stop. Oh my God.
He's got a job, so they can't have that. Can't have productive members of society.
Oh my God.
Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce shared his outrage about this stop.
We've all seen the 3-minute video. And I've heard some people say, oh, it's hard to watch. What was hard is that there were 5 to 7 ICE agents there. In my world, my colleagues, we've arrested some dangerous people on the back roads of Cumberland County with 3 or less deputies. Yet this was a show of force, a show of whatever they were trying to do with 7 people. What's even more disturbing is the comment made by the witness that videotaped this encounter, who said that in the 3 minutes they got out, they pulled a guy from the car, handcuffed him, put him in the car. They all took off, leaving his car with the windows down, the lights on, unsecure, and unoccupied. They left it right on the side of the street. Folks, that's Bush League policing. Again, in my world, you wait for a wrecker. You wait for somebody to come pick it up that the individual wants. Or you get permission to drive the vehicle into a public parking spot and you lock it up and you give the person their car keys. You don't leave their personal belongings unsecure along the streets of the city of Portland. It's not fair to the guy that owns the car. It's surely not fair to the Portland police.
Folks, the recruit was hired in February of 2000. First, hired in February, and is authorized. First, he was authorized to work in the U.S. through 2029. And to understand what these people are doing, they even at one point, a protester was filming them, and an ICE agent said, "We're now going to put you in a domestic terrorist database." Here's what people have to understand: these people are going after everyone, and they absolutely are being given full authority, full immunity, especially by Stephen Miller and others. And so this is what we have to understand that these people are engaged in. The actions that they're engaged in makes no sense whatsoever. And Donald Trump is allowing it. This is what these folks want to do. This is how they want to be engaged. And so we need to understand that the pushback has been severe. This is why Minneapolis is ground center. I want to bring in my panel. Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show from Detroit. Candace Kelly, legal analyst and host Not All Hood out of South Orange, New Jersey. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Glad to have all three of you here. Candace, I want to start with you. These thugs do not care about the law, because the thug in chief doesn't care about the law. Stephen Miller doesn't care about the law. J.D. Vance doesn't care about the law. You got the head of ICE walking around in his long coat, just sitting here doing whatever the hell is it that he wants to do. And you have a federal judge in Illinois who said that dude lied repeatedly. So these folks are lying in court. They are lying to federal judges. They don't care, because they know the corrupt thug sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, 2 blocks this way from this studio, says, do what you want. I got you covered.
Do what you want without any due process, too, that is due to anybody that is on American soil. That is the rule. And people will ask me all the time, no, not if they are not here legally. Yes. If they are here illegally, there's still a process that is due to them. That's why we call it due process. And this is what we are seeing on the streets, that even if you are a corrections officer, this guy went through a polygraph test. He went through a background check. He went through all the questioning. He went through all the training. He even, during the time of training, went down to Texas, I believe, to try to get some things cleared up in terms of his status. He wanted to work alongside and be a part of the justice system. And even with that behind him, he still got picked up. And they didn't even give the corrections facility that he worked with the respect to tell them, look, we have one of yours. Left his car open, left it in dangerous situations, just disrespect across the board. This is the time where people have got to remember the rights that belong to them. You still have a right to remain silent. You still have a right to an attorney. You still have a right to due process. So the more you know the information about the law, the more empowered you become. Because it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a corrections officer. You could be a police officer. They might even make the mistake one day and arrest another ICE agent. It doesn't matter. You're going to get got, because they had 1 year where they hired 12,000 people. There's no way that 12,000 ICE workers can actually be trained thoroughly and not make all the mistakes. And that's what we're seeing. We are seeing the fruit of those seeds that have been planted. And that's why we're seeing these mistakes. And this is just ridiculous. I mean, it is just ridiculous. And it's going to implode even more, Roland.
And a thing here that it's abundantly clear, Matt. These folks don't care about due process. And here's their argument. You had this Batya Unger Sargon, supposedly a progressive who now is MAGA. And I'm gonna try to find the clip. This idiot was debating Bakari Sellos, who's an actual lawyer, and she's nothing more than an opinion columnist, saying that, oh no, due process is only for American citizens. She's a liar.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Candace hit the nail on the head. It is not only for American citizens. And, I mean, there's a due process that's due to you in the immigration courts. I mean, that's kind of one of the things they're trying to hide behind now, at least in a couple of the stories that have been reported over the time of the ICE increase in administrative, arrests and things, is that they've had a number of people who had already gone through a process and a judge had determined that they needed to be removed. That is part and parcel with the idea of having due process. And I think we may be talking about it a little bit later, but I think the thing that every American absolutely needs to be terrified about, literally afraid about, is that ICE has an internal policy memo saying that they can go into your house with an administrative warrant and not a judicial warrant. And let me explain why that is so terrifying. Because generally what you need, at least in the federal system or on the comparable state system, you need a judge to determine that there is probable cause for law enforcement to make entry to your home to search it or to otherwise arrest you, right? But these administrative warrants are issued by people who work for the Department of Justice. And I know they're calling them immigration judges, right? But they really are Department of Justice employees, from my understanding. That means the fail-safe, which is a judge who's been appointed, who's gone through the approval process through Senate, the United States Senate, is determining that there's sufficient probable cause to arrest you, is how it normally works. But if ICE is able to go out and arrest people without this warrant, then what this means, without a judicially issued warrant, then what that means is that they can just have basically an insufficient legal basis upon which to claim we get that man. We have some reason to believe someone that lives with him is not an immigrant, but we don't have to prove it in the way we normally do. And now we can just write up our own warrant. Basically, it's them issuing their own documents to go and grab people. And that is an evisceration of the Fourth Amendment, which in civil rights law is probably the most litigated amendment. It's the one most of the time that people are filing lawsuits behind. So, this arrest and many of the other arrests are obviously very problematic, but it is a bedrock watershed, fundamental evisceration of democracy issue if a judge is no longer the one determining whether there's probable cause, because that allows them to come into your house anytime that they want, and they don't have to answer to someone for doing so.
This is, before I go to Michael, this conversation. I just want to show y'all the sheer stupidity that these MAGA people are spouting all across mainstream news. Now, that crap wouldn't fly on this show. I wouldn't even let her get this crap out of her mouth for 10 seconds. But listen to this non-lawyer give her opinionated view about due process, and she's talking to an actual lawyer.
The people who, on the right in particular, who are typically concerned about things like, the government overreach, searches and seizures, et cetera, does it give you pause that they are expanding the view of what they can do to break into people's homes?
Well, first of all, it's not without a warrant. It's an administrative warrant. And what the memo actually says is if a judge has issued final order of removal, meaning that this is an illegal who has gotten a lot of due process already and exhausted every single legal avenue to challenge their deportation.
I guess
I don't want, on that front,
let me just pause you there because I just don't want people to be confused. The administrative warrant is not a warrant that a judge sees. Typically in the United States, in order for authorities to break into your home without your permission, they need a judge to see it and to say you can enter because you're looking for something.
Right, because citizens have constitutional rights.
But that man, for example, that we just played the video of, he might have lived in that house, but that house also resided other American citizens. So again, where are the people on the right who are typically concerned about constitutional rights? Are you not at all worried
about constitutional rights for
that
American
they can just break into
citizens.
your home?
We have different standards of what due process is owed to an
Well, let me
American
give you
citizen and what is owed to a
Well,
non-citizen.
what about this
and
scenario?
we should all support that.
What
we
about
should
this
all
scenario?
want a higher level
What
of due
about an
process
American-
and constitutional rights that
what
are
about a
guaranteed to
home
us as
that is
American
owned-
citizens, not to
But hold on,
illegals,
hold
because
on.
it's supposed to mean something to be an American.
Hold on.
But Bati
There are
is
a lot of
wrong.
problems with that. I mean, there are constitutional rights that, like, just basic constitutional rights that don't change based on whether you're a citizen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So that comment right there are constitutional rights that we have as human beings that doesn't depend on you being a citizen or not. And then we hear this other woman here is talking about it's supposed to mean something to be an American. What does it actually mean to be an American? Does it make it very different? Are Americans supposed to be different from anyone else that lives in this big, beautiful world that God created? Americans are supposed to be more than or something different or better than. I didn't like that comment, but I absolutely agree with the comment that our constitutional rights as human beings is not based off of whether we're a citizen of a country anywhere, whether it's the United States or any other country. Your rights that you have as a human being, they are attached to you and they follow you despite where you live. You can be in the woods in a tent. You can be under a bridge, which some people do live under bridges because they're homeless. But we'll get into that conversation and save that for another day. We're not talking about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. But it's this fact that your rights and humanity can be taken away from you because of what? You're not a citizen somewhere. And let's be clear, a citizen of the United States in America, that's the only citizen that matters or means something or holds some type of rank above others. It sounds very hateful the way these people speak. I don't know what y'all think. Y'all let me know. Y'all know sometimes I can go in a little bit too much, but I listen, and when I hear, and I read between the lines of what's being said, it is giving like this nuance of like supremacy. And when we're talking about supremacy, well, we know what race seems and acts and has always put themselves to be the supreme ones. That's why it's called white supremacy. But the supremacy of now, you're a citizen of America. That's the top best thing to be. And unless you're that, you don't have any human rights. Is that what we're saying here? Is that what the argument is? Is that what all of this is happening for? I can't really fully understand. I'm picking up what they're putting down, but it makes no sense. That's why I'm saying I don't understand. Not because I'm confused and I'm not bright enough to get it. I just don't understand where y'all coming from with this. Why y'all doing this? And what is it at the core that you really think and you really feel? Well, we kind of know. And if you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. We see history repeating itself. And we know because we have looked into our real true history, not just the history that we learn in school, child, and the history books that they put in there for us to read that has mixed history, false history. We know the real history of this country. And we know how some of these people, not all, at the core, really feel and what they want this country to look like. When we're talking about make America great again, what do you think they really mean by that? Ask yourselves, honestly, make America great again with talking points and rhetorics and actually putting things in place to make things run how they used to in the 1800s and the 1900s. And we know what this country looked like and how it was operating in the 1800s and 1900s, and even prior to that. We know what it was. But when we call these things out, it's just like they get mad at you for calling it what it is. You gotta call a thing. And this thing is a nasty thing, but it's not a thing that we are not familiar with. We know what it is. We know exactly what the goal is. And every turn, every choice, every story, every report that we see proves this is exactly what they want. That's just my little 2 cents on that, y'all. But let's keep going because there's more conversation they're gonna have, and you'll see. You'll see, and they really convince themselves to believe that these things that they're saying make sense and are warranted to say. I can't. I just can't.
But you're wrong, Batia, because
No, they have a right to due process, but that standard is much lower.
No,
it counts as due process.
You're wrong.
That is right.
No, the Fifth and 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution provide that everyone, even non-citizens, have a right to due process.
Yes, to due process, but the standard of due process for expelling an illegal is much lower than the standard that we would have if we were accused of
about
crime.
entering one's domicile, one's abode.
They have a final order of deportation.
Batia, you cannot utilize military or law enforcement in the United States of America to enter one's home colloquially willy-nilly. You just simply cannot do that because of the fundamental guarantees we have under the United States Constitution.
Yes,
and what happens
as Americans?
That's an idiot, Michael. A pure idiot. And that was like a 2-minute and 45-second clip. And Abby I would have been like, I'm sorry, you're not a lawyer. So let me talk to the lawyers at the table. Can you please explain what the law is?
Yeah, so it's so much here. I'm going to try to keep this as succinct as possible. She's an idiot and a Trump grifter, okay? And to me, it's ironic. Now, I'm not sure if she's Jewish. It appears she was wearing the Jewish star, but it's like...
Yeah, she is. She is.
Okay, because I remember mistreatment of Jews by Germans. And...
Oh, no. That doesn't matter because that didn't happen on American soil. See, that happened in Germany. Didn't happen here.
Well, they were
I mean, again, if I'm using her argument, Michael, we're not discussing that because that didn't happen in America. That happened in Germany, not here.
Okay, so let me go to my...
Okay, y'all, I just want to comment with a quick disclaimer that the thoughts and the conversation, the opinions of the panel on Roland Martin's live on his podcast right now are not the thoughts and the feelings and the opinions of Golden or my channel. And so I do know some things may be said that can be triggering or, alerted or alarmed or whatnot. I'm going to move past that portion of the conversation. I do want us to hear the rest of the talking points because they are having a good conversation around this ICE stuff and what's going on with that. So we will briefly move past that portion of the conversation, and we're just about at the end of this video anyway. So I just want to make that quick disclaimer. All right, let's finish it off, and we'll be moving into y'all, the one I'm pretty sure you've been waiting for. Our last topic. We got to get into Nicki Minaj. She's back at it again, child. Over there with Trump.
I know a few minutes ago, Roland, you said this does not make sense and things of this nature. Well, Roland, this makes perfect sense. Your book, White Fear, explained it. Your book, White Fear, predicted it. This is the fear, the browning of America. This is an all-out war on non-white people. And Donald Trump in 2024, when he was on the campaign trail, March or April 2024, he said he would give 100% immunity against for police against criminal prosecution for doing their job. And then from my understanding, when it comes to the killing of Renee Good, there's no investigation from the Department of Justice, okay? An investigation would normally go on for a number of weeks. There's no investigation. So they're like, hey, we're good. No pun intended. Now, I encourage people, and I've been talking about this at the African History Network, and some of the Black people or ADOS or whatever they want to call themselves disagree with me on this. But this is very similar. This reminds me of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. And ICE, many ICE officers, maybe not all of them, but many of them are running around like modern day slave catchers. In fact, the LA Times has an excellent article called Trump's Case for Sending Troops to Help ICE Involves Precedent from Fugitive Slave Act. And they're talking about the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, signed into law by President Millard Fillmore. And most of these Negroes never even heard of Millard Fillmore. And what happened was he sent U.S. troops along with U.S. Marshals to capture runaway slaves in the North, enforcing the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. Well, you got in some of these states, you've got National Guard along with ICE and police, quote unquote, police from many different agencies violating people's rights. And one of the things that the Fugitive Slave Act did was the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793, you could have your day in court. A lot of people don't know this, but the one of 1850, you could not have a day in court to prove that you were free. Well, many cases here, right? They're not being able to have their day in court like they should. They're being snatched also outside of the court when they're trying to show up for their proper hearings and things of this nature. So this, unfortunately, this makes perfect sense. And we predicted this, Roland. This is all laid out in Project 2025.
Traditional dropshipping is dead. What we need to do is register with AutoDS, the quickest, easiest, newest, and best of all, cheapest way to get started dropshipping. Now, to get started with this, the first thing we need to do is, of course, sign up with AutoDS. And then I'm going to click on Add Store down here. And then we're going to choose the Build with AI. And then AI is going to start to build a store for us. AutoDS is not only going to give us our AI pre-built store in our specified niche, it's also going to give us a few winning products to go along with that store and providing us a lot of extra tools. It's just so much easier. Really, it's the new way of dropshipping. It's the new way to get started testing out what works for you in dropshipping. You can get started right now for just $1 for the next 2 weeks. Go ahead and create 4 different stores, whether it be in the same
Okay, y'all, I'm back. I apologize about it. My son came running out here, child. I had to get him back in the room with grandma. He stayed in there to stay quiet. But anyway, so that was a great conversation and panel, I believe, that they were talking about. And as you can see, the nuance and the difference between the conversation. And I hate to point out the clear facts. It was certain individuals that were just, I think, seeing it through a different lens. And sometimes it's just like, we understand that we all are not going to see things the same way. We all are not going to experience things the same way. We're all not going to understand things the same way. And I think that's what makes the most difficulty when it comes to things like this, you know, that we're witnessing right now, is because there are different people. We're all different, right? And we see it differently. We experience it differently. We could be on the other side of it, right? One side or the other. And there is a big portion of us that are on the same page, despite our race, our background, our experiences, how we were raised, where we live. All of those things tie into and really put together sometimes our thought patterns, right? When it comes to us taking a stance on something, or how we see something, or how we bear witness to something. All of that has influence on these things. And so I do understand that there's some of us out here that see it very differently and argue against it tooth and nail, because we really believe, like, the way we see it and the way we think, the way we feel and the way we experience these things, we believe that our side and our thoughts and our feelings and our opinions are the true ones. And the other side is like, they're not getting it. It goes like that back and forth, like a ping pong game. And I don't know how we combat that. Like, I don't know how we fix that. I can't be sure. I don't know if it ever can be fixed. But we are making progress because there is a lot of us that are on the same page when it comes to, and I'm telling you again, yes, it boils down to humanity, human rights, us as humans. Like I said multiple times before, despite your skin tone, despite your race or your ethnic background or heritage, your religious or spiritual belief, your sexual preference or gender identity, despite all of those things, at the very core, it is about being human, human rights. They put these laws into place for us to have them, to utilize them for these exact purposes, to keep us safe, to keep us alive, to keep things, it's supposed to be to keep things also in some ways fair. But we know for a long period of time historically that despite those rights and amendments and all of the things, that it's always been manipulated and twisted and dipped. And so we know that things, despite them being in place, have been sometimes coming out unfair, sometimes coming out horrific endings, you know. And now what we are seeing in 2026 is, you know, almost a repeat of what we have seen historically in the past. That these rights and these amendments that are in place for each and every human being and individual, despite whether you're a citizen or you're a resident or you're an immigrant, they get manipulated, they get overlooked, they get ignored, and things happen that are not supposed to happen, that are going against your rights. We're seeing that happening now, and there's a big uptick on it right now, which we didn't suspect we would have to see happen in 2026. We have moved so forward in time that we thought that things would pan out, even out, and get better. But what we're seeing is now people in places, these organizations, these groups, these government structures are doing things to take history back in time. Going back to when it was even more unfair, it was even more dangerous for people based off of, we already know, I mean, it's the elephant in the room, hate, race, religion, gender, all of the things, okay? It's not like we have not been here before. We have not seen this before. Our ancestors, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our grandfathers sat around at the fireplace or sat around in their reclining chairs and tell us these stories about the civil rights movement and Jim Crow and all of these type of things. So we see it is going backwards and it's sticking for now. But an end will come. An end will come, and everything will be properly aligned, I would believe, the way it should be. And that doesn't mean that one side is better than the other or one side wins and the other side loses. We are united. We are together as a people, as a collective, as a group. Despite our differences, we still can stand side by side with one another and fight for what is our human rights. And everyone should be able to benefit from these human rights, despite the differences. That's all we asking for. Is that so hard to give? Is it so unthought of to have? Does anybody want to see that? I know there's a lot of people that want to see that. And I love that because that shows that we are living in a world that there is progression that has been made. That we are, despite what we're going through as a collective, in a better place. But we got to fight to keep it. We got to fight to keep that mindset. We got to fight to keep that love. We got to fight to keep that unity. We got to fight to keep that fairness. We got to fight to keep all of it. And when I say fight, I'm not talking about pow pow or punches and hits. I'm talking about standing up, speaking up for what's right, not allowing yourself to bend or sway in any way. Because as soon as you do, these type of things can swoop in and take over and change the whole game. If we want it, we know it's necessary and we need it, we have to stand our ground to keep it. And a lot of people are doing that. So I salute to all the ones that are speaking as well, are boots on the ground, are in organizations and administrations where they are fighting for it. And in our lives and our minds and our everyday, hustle and bustle, we have to keep these things in the back of our mind. I know we get distracted by a lot of things. We get distracted by our kids. We get distracted by our career or our job. We get distracted by media, entertainment. We get distracted by, whatever. You may want to go shop. You want to get your hair done. You want to get your nails done. Whatever it is, living your life. Life may distract you from these things for a minute, but you must keep it in the back of your mind and try to move it at least somewhere to the middle or the front of your brain. That these are the important things that we need to speak about, we need to stand for and fight for and keep in mind at all times. Because if the moment you don't, the moment you get distracted, it slide in like a thief in the night and snatch it away from you. And I think that's what we're seeing right now because we have been too distracted for too long. This is how I think it's been able to get this far. We've been distracted. We've been asleep. We have to wake up. We have to wake up and we have to stay focused. I know it's yet another thing to put on the docket in the list. We have so many things to juggle in life, period. I get it. This is an important one, though. We have to keep these things in mind. But anyway, enough of that speech. So let's go ahead and get into the video y'all all been waiting for, I'm pretty sure. Now, we got to talk about Nicki Minaj, child. I don't know what the heck is really going on with this woman. We have our thoughts and opinions as to why she moving the way she moved. And we know for a very long period of time now, she's been very nasty work. Honestly, we've bear witness to her being nasty work. Despite the fact that she can probably rap good and she's, a decent entertainer or whatnot. A lot of people enjoy her stuff. She's been nasty work. And now when it's coming to this fight that we've been talking about, it's coming to these things that we've been talking about, she seems to be standing on the wrong side of it. But again, who am I to say that? People can choose and do what they want to do. But a lot of people have been also saying that they're not understanding her stance. They're not understanding why she's backing this type of behavior and treatment and Trump in this administration. And so yet again, child, she's tripling down. We've already seen her 2 times now, popping out in the wrong place, having the wrong things to say. And now she has popped out in yet another place. So this is Nicki Minaj at President Trump's summit. And she has a statement. She says she probably is the president's #1 fan. Child, let me just let y'all watch it for yourself. Let's go ahead and get into it.
She went crazy when she heard that this was. I want to go. She happens to be in the wrong state right now for that. But when she heard that there's a certain person that's here who's the greatest and most successful female rapper in history, Nicki Minaj. Come on, and and Nicki makes a lot of cash. Not as much as Michael Dell. Not quite. Not as much. But that's okay. But Nicki makes a lot of money and she's generously stepping up. She's investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in Trump accounts to support the children and really the children of her incredible fans. That's great. Focus on that. Why should you give to somebody else's fans? Give to your fans. I like that. But, and I just think she's great. I've been hearing so much over the years because I didn't know Nicki, and I've been hearing over the years she's a big Trump supporter or a Trump fan, and she took a little heat on occasion. Her community isn't necessarily, I tell you, we did pretty damn well with that, as we said. But Nicki has been an unbelievable supporter. She gets more, she gets so good. But I'd like to ask you to come up, Nikki. Come on up. Come on. She's been such a great supporter and a great supporter of Trump accounts. And I said, I'm going to let my nails grow because I love those nails. I'm going to let those nails grow. She's so good. She's been MAGA. What can I say? She's been with us all the way, right, Alex? She's been with us all the way, and just want to thank her. And it wasn't so easy. For you, it was easier, right? Want to come up? You want to come up? Mr. Wonderful, come on up here. You've been terrific. Come on up.
Hello. Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay right here.
On behalf of all the entrepreneurs in America, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, because we create 72% of the jobs. Companies 5 to 500 employees, and all we care about is policy. We love policy, pro-business policy, and these accounts are fantastic for independence and support. I thank you very much. It's all about the entrepreneur, and I think you know that, sir.
Well, that was great. A little interlude. I don't know. That's better than getting Scott Bessent up.
Okay, y'all. So that was the video, that I wanted to show y'all. That is what happened. I really have. I'm lost for words. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I do. I have an audio though that I want to play for y'all. So listen to this real quick. We'll wrap this up very shortly, y'all. That's the last video I had to play. But I want to play this audio for y'all, and then we'll play our exit bop song, and then I'll be back later because I got a few more topics we'll be talking about as well. But I want y'all to listen to this real quick.
It's dangerous in a civic sense, not because Nicki Minaj has no right to an opinion, she absolutely does, but because of how influence works in a mass media democracy. Nicki Minaj is not a U.S. citizen, so she cannot vote and is not subject to the direct consequences of U.S. policy in the same way as the people her audience is made up of. Yet, she commands tens of millions of followers, many of them young, politically disengaged or marginalized. When someone with that reach endorses a political figure like Trump, it can bypass informed consent. Fans often trust celebrities emotionally, not analytically. An endorsement can function as a shortcut. If Nicki supports him, he must be good. without any engagement with the policies that affect healthcare, immigration, policing, reproductive rights, or civil liberties. Amplify policies that don't impact her personally. Trump's platform includes hardline immigration measures, mass deportations, expanded executive power, and rollbacks of civil rights protections. These land most heavily on immigrants, Muslims, Black communities, women, and LGBTQ+ people, many of whom make up Nicki's fan base. She can promote the figure. They live with the fallout. Normalize authoritarian rhetoric globally. U.S. politics doesn't stay in the U.S. Trumpism has become an international brand, one that legitimizes strongman politics, disinformation, and the erosion of democratic norms. When a global artist boosts that brand, it helps export it. Distort the public square. Democracy assumes debate among people who are accountable to the system. A non-citizen celebrity can shape outcomes without bearing civic responsibility. No vote, no tax consequence tied to policy, no exposure to domestic legal shifts, yet still tilt public sentiment. The issue isn't that she speaks. It's that her platform can outweigh journalists, policy experts, and even voters themselves while being detached from the lived stakes. In a moment when institutions are fragile and misinformation spreads faster than facts, that imbalance can meaningfully alter political reality. In short, her voice is powerful, but unmoored from the consequences. And in a volatile political climate, that combination can move millions in ways that harm the very communities that made her famous.
Okay, y'all. So y'all heard that. You know, this is one of the biggest issues that we've been experiencing, and we are going to continue, I guess, to experience when it comes to these role models in the forms of rappers, singers, actors, actresses, all of those things, right? We know that people are very much gravitated towards them, and for whatever reason, what some of these role models they have say and think and do, they follow ship. And so, yeah, it is very dangerous rhetoric to have someone who has, and especially someone who also has very young people as well, like teenagers, you know, very young adults following her, supporting her, loving her music, her brand, like listening to her every word. And then we have things that are serious, right? Like outside of music or entertainment, like our government and our politics. And so you can see how she can be very influential to these people, whether they're adults, young adults, teenagers, preteens. And this is what she's choosing to push. This is what she's choosing to support blindedly, really, because there is no real talking points that come from her when it comes to any of these things. I don't even think she knows. It's just about standing beside someone who you think has power, influence, and money. And I guess y'all bounce y'all money back and forth, and then you do things for each other, or maybe you give each other favors, you know? So it is very somewhat coming off to be like it's performative. It's also coming off to allude to maybe you're looking or needing a favor of some kind, and maybe you purchased it and now you gotta cheerlead for it. We can't be sure. That's all alleged. That's just my personal thoughts and opinions when it comes to it. But in the meantime, while you're doing all of this for yourself, you're influencing a very large group of people who, yeah, they just happen to follow what it is you do, believe what it is you say, and get on the same boat that you're on just because they're your fans, you know, and your supporters. And so I think when you are someone that's in that position, you have to be very careful with the type of influence that you're putting out there. Yeah, it's cute when you influence people to wear color wigs. Yeah, it's cute when you influence people to name themselves or call themselves Barbies. Yeah, it's cute when you influence people to dress a certain way. But when we're talking about serious matters such as political stands, choices, and views, I don't think it's fair for you to be such big of an influencer and not take it seriously enough. Like, she takes it very serious. We're not hearing her speak on any prevalent issues that is happening within the government structure, or within the country. I have not heard her speak on how ICE, is just out here basically moving like mercenaries, and they're just taking people out left and right, busting through people's doors, hurting and harming them, separating people from their young itty bitty children, which she has a young itty bitty child as well. So you would think you would care about those things or speak about those things, but maybe not, child. We don't know. But it just goes to show, like, what is important to you? What do you want to have conversations about? What do you want to speak up and talk about and share with your fans? If you know, or if you're in the in crowd and you get to sit around the table, wouldn't you want to pass down some of that information to your fans, your followers, and your supporters that put all of the money in your pocket that you've been getting for years now? Or you don't care about their well-being, just your own? So that type of stuff is what make people like sit back and question, like, what are you doing this for? Why? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and end it here, y'all. And we right under the 2-hour mark, so that's good. So I'm gonna end it with a bop per usual. And later on this evening, I'll be back with another live, y'all. We got some more things we got to get into and talk about. Thank you so much for participating in the live. If you come in the chat, or even if you was just watching from the bush and listen, if you share, or if you're watching while you're cleaning, doing chores, however it is, if you are showing support to the lives in the channel, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I will talk to you guys on the next one. Let's go ahead and get into this song, and we're out, okay? Bye.
They're watching the clock, but we're watching the gate. Truth in the lyrics. It's never too late. Check the facts, feel the weight. Spider-Man pack, stolen from his home, no way to get back. Liam in the cell, yeah, the air's getting thin. Lethargic in his father's arms, pale in his skin. Crockett's in the lobby, she demanding the keys, while a boy loses hope on his trembling knees. One shot to his name, watched him dried in the dark. The flame of justice needs a brand new spark. Minneapolis cold, yeah, the snow's turning red. Operation Natural Choice, filling streets with a dread. Breakthroughs and mass stages with the tactical gear. Turning neighborhoods on two blood, stand up in fear. Streets orders, lawful and true. A clear message meant for me and you. But the air grew cold and the line was crossed. A furious price at any cost. A simple warning, clear and bright, met with a fury late one night.